What's going on, everybody? Welcome to IndieQuest, the celebration of the indie and obscure. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, and I'm joined by one of my wonderful co-hosts, Steve. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Maybe a little nasally today. You know, I'm on the tail end of a cold. It's that time of year. All the snow has melted in Minnesota, so all the germs that were frozen in the glaciers are now escaping and getting out into the air, and everybody's getting sick. But other than sounding, you know, a little more 80s stereotypical nerd, I'm doing fantastic. I have simultaneously the key lime LaCroix and some lavender chamomile tea, so hot or cold beverages both on deck, ready to chat about some games that you two already know about.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're also joined by the captain himself, Captain Drachma. How are you doing, Seth?
Doing good. Speaking of weather changing, I suppose, and sicknesses, wild thing. First time something like this has ever happened to me or my family specifically, I think. But Jason, my stepson, plays baseball, so he's a catcher for his baseball team. And we were out in the backyard doing some drills the other day, and obviously everything's blooming, and he's always had bad spring allergies, and he knows to take Claritin. He's 13 and doesn't very often do what he knows he should do. So he wakes up, Friday morning with like swollen eyes. It was
What?
wild.
Wow.
When I say it was wild, I'm like, he had come and like talked to his mom and me that night, like before he was going to bed, and one of his eyes was like a little bit swollen. I'm like, I mean, he was playing the Oculus, right, with his buddies. I'm like, well, who knows, dude? I don't know what you did, but it's probably going to be fine. Just go to bed. And then he wakes up in the morning with both of them swollen. So my guess is he hadn't taken Claritin in a long time, and he was down in the grass in the backyard, and he's good today. We ended up taking him to urgent care, and they gave him a steroid to like get the swelling to go down, and he's never felt bad. He feels fine. But it was just weird, just weird. So just be careful out there with these allergies. They're no joke.
That grass will get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that time of year. All the bugs are out. Of course, I would know that. Yeah. Anyway, it's been crazy. But, well, this is a second opinion episode, and we figured, we're going to already be talking about games that we already know about, like, the games we brought to the show before, so we might not be talking about them too long. So I decided to come up with a game called, which I haven't even told you guys what the game's called or anything. I'm going to copy and paste this in here. It's called Combo Quest. So the idea behind Combo Quest, I have a little description here. The goal is to figure out the creative mashup of two game titles from the quest log using just a description, which is also a mashup of the two games. And I do have an example here. These games aren't necessarily on the quest log, but this is what a description will sound like. So it'll be, in this title, a group of civilians trying to survive in a besieged city, struggling with a lack of food, medicine, constant danger from snipers and hostile scavengers, explore a sandbox where players can build and explore a procedurally generated block-based world, and that would be This War of Minecraft. So it's a combined title based off of a combined description. And all these games are going to be from the quest log, and they won't necessarily run together quite like that. There will be occasionally there's like a one-word title that will take the place in the title. You'll kind of see how it works as we go here. So any questions for this? It's not the most unique idea. I've heard this done on, I think, Kind of Funny and IGN and a couple places. It's been called different things, but I thought it'd be fun to do with the quest log.
I'm here for it.
I feel like I did not bring enough of my brain for this tonight, Josh, but we're going to see how it goes.
And yeah, like I'm not trying to make it super hard on you guys. Like you might be scratching your head on a couple of these, so this is how it's going to work. Each there's 10 questions. Most of them will be two points for if you can get it without any hints, and then we'll have you guys buzz in with just saying your name, and then say your guess. And if you guys both don't get it, I'll give you a hint that will give you guys another chance to get a guess, and that will give you 1 point. What the stakes are on the table today is you guys will get to choose an episode topic of your choice. It could be anything in the world. It could be a review of a random indie game. You could bring Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and we have to review it because you guys want to review that for that episode. We can do a whole episode talking about energy drinks. We can do a whole episode talking about your favorite indie game or topic or IQOST. It's up to you, and the rule on that one is you have to figure out what that topic is going to be by next episode, and we'll do that episode sometime in the summer. So
All right.
Yeah.
I'm down for this. I already can guess my episode's going to be all about coffee. We're going to talk our favorite coffees.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I don't even
Ready?
drink coffee. I'll just be like, man, I love water.
All right. Yeah. With the whistles, and we'll get going on here.
It's the healthiest thing you've ever said. Water is my favorite drink. Okay, Captain Fitness. All right.
It's not that I definitely drink other things. Like I do have the occasional pop. We call it pop here, but soda, right? But yeah, I just don't drink coffee. So anyway,
All right.
Okay. I just drank, like I was telling you guys before the show, I just drank like the most, like one of the strongest coffee drinks I've had in a long time. So I'm like wired right now. I'm ready for this. So the way you guys buzz in, I'll read the description. You can buzz in at any time. You're allowed to have the quest log open to kind of peruse. Take your time, buzz in as you can. It'll be a combo of 2 game titles. So the first one we have here, the description reads, in this classic indie tough as nails title, construct a creature from spare bones and parts around the city to quell your loneliness. And that is, and again, it is in this classic indie tough as nails title, construct a creature from spare bones and parts around the city to quell your loneliness.
I know one of the games.
So the answer that we're giving is we are combining those 2 titles into something.
Yeah, so it'll basically be
All right.
2 game titles mashed together to make a new game title, basically.
I'll try. I'll jump in here.
Here we go.
Is it Super Meat Birth?
You got it. That's the
Oh
correct
my
answer. Super Meat Birth.
What's up? Let's go.
Oh, wrong
I'm
person.
Get
I'm
absolutely schooled.
Which one of those 2 did you know?
Birth.
Okay, the harder of the 2 to know.
I guess
That's true.
the first part. Okay, Super Meat Boy. Part of it is I've got the quest log open, but still it's long and large, right? So we have to move around it some. But Super Meat Boy, the description for Super Meat Boy, I feel like could be a lot of games. Whereas Birth, the whole putting the body parts together, that makes sense. Like I knew Birth right away, and I was maybe more focused on that one. But anyway, well done, Steve.
Yep. Yes. So I mean, that's probably maybe not the best mashup ever,
No,
but
it was
some of these will get are a little bit more clever than that, I'll say. But here's the second one. Second mashup title. Second description here is: in this sci-fi themed action game, you wield a mysterious talking sword of unknown origins and lead a team of renegade wizards to unravel a modern conspiracy plot.
Drachma. Is that how I do it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Tactical breach transistor.
You're
Transistor
close.
breach wizards.
You got it. That you're so close.
I don't know. I guess I should do the 2
I'll
Ts.
allow that. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
2
good.
Ts.
That's good. I would have gave it to you probably anyway because you got the 2 games. So,
There we go.
yep, awesome. That's 2 points for both of you guys so far. The third question today, or third description, is this one's pretty short. In this quirky and blobby physics-based puzzle/construction game, you're a totally normal gardener.
Oh, I got it. Drachma.
Okay.
World of Groon.
Yep. You got it.
My brain, even though it was one of my favorite games, my brain was like, "What the hell is the name of that game I love?" I was picturing. It's like it's in my head. I was like, "What is that game called?"
I am honestly. If I don't get any more points this entire game, I'm pretty happy with myself that I was able to come up with those 2 so quickly.
He's
No,
cooking.
no hints needed yet either, which is nice. All right, let's do the next one here. You might need one on this one. We'll see. Inspired by a retro franchise, you'll have a variety of special fighting ability to blast your way through each stage. A young girl and her loyal friend embark on a rescue mission to save the world from invaders.
Yeah. if Steve doesn't have it, I might need you to repeat it.
Yeah, I was going to ask to repeat it too.
Yeah, I'll repeat it for you guys. Inspired by a retro franchise, and I'll say it's a 2D retro franchise. Give you a little bit spicy hint. You'll have a variety of special fighting abilities to blast your way through each stage. A young girl and her loyal friend embark on a rescue mission to save the world from invaders.
Steve, is it? Wait, I should double check that this game is on the quest log before I make this guess. Is it bad when I don't? Okay. Is it Planet of Katana Zero?
You're on the right track. Seth, do you want to get it?
That was great. Come on. I would give it to myself. Do I? Okay, so I have the right games?
One of the games is incorrect in that.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep. All right. I knew one of the games as well. I just don't know off the top of my head what the other one is. Yeah, I don't. I'll just say we're vamping a little bit now to try to figure this out. I knew that Planet of Lana was the second one. It probably helps that I was looking something. I was looking at something for Planet of Lana earlier today because there's physicals coming out for it, which is cool. But I don't. Oh, no, that can't be it.
I say go ahead.
Seth. Panzer Paladin of Lana.
No, you guys are getting on the right track here. So my hint is, and you guys might want to be ready to buzz in when I say this. All right, it is one of the words in the title you might see on a 4th of July like sign, like American.
All right, we're both racing to buzz in here.
I know. I mean, that was a bad hint. That maybe it was a bad hint.
Seth. Locust USA of Lana.
No,
that's not it. Probably
that was a bad hit.
That's USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a point for that. Come on now. Come on. Oh man,
It's amazing that we can create multiple portmanteaus out of different games on the quest log.
Yeah.
I've been working on it for a little bit. Yeah, I think this might be the only one we'll be able to do. We'll see. But yeah, it took me a little while to get these. This one's one of my favorite ones I've came up with. Okay,
I'm sure it's extremely unique and creative. I'm like trying to think of maybe I'm thinking that Planet is what you replaced, but it could be Lana, which would mean that I'm thinking completely the wrong direction.
Yeah, Steve, if you give one more, I will give you guys one more hint for 1 point. But go ahead and do a hint guess if you have one.
Okay. Freedom Planet of Lana.
You got it. That's exactly
that
it.
Really good. Yeah.
All right, we got there.
So that'll be 1 point for Steve there because of the hit. So you guys are feeling the game out. You're seeing what it's all about here. All right, this one
it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be impossible or not. But hey, you guys, we're working it out. So I try to like throw something in there that will give you at least a little bit of an inkling for each game. At least I try, but it's hard sometimes. So the next one here for question or prompt number 5 here is: in this immersive game, navigate worlds and solve puzzles using words set inside a young girl's diary. On your journey, you are accompanied by an eagle. Become a master of archery and travel to a mystical island.
It's Lost. Oh no! Hang on. I got Lost Pathless, or Lost Words Beyond the Pathless.
You got it exactly. That's it.
There we go.
Yeah, those were
2 points for Steve.
Those were games I think that you guys, and I should still remember them, but that was a long time ago that those games came to the quest log, right?
Yeah, we do have some that are a little more current. I will say number 10 is what I don't know if it's gonna be the hardest, but I'm gonna give you guys 3 points. Like if you can get that one on the first guess on the last one. But number 6 here. So just so you know, just leading up to it. So 6. Prepare the perfect heist in this simulated and fully destructible voxel world where you play as a young person venturing down a well in search of an untold treasures with only his gun boots to protect him.
I know.
I know both the games, but I only remember the name of one.
That's
so I have
right.
to.
You're like just
scrolling.
scrolling as fast as you can.
And I'm trying
I'll repeat
to
it in the list.
remember.
Trying to find it.
I'll repeat
Steve,
it one more time.
Didn't you have to look something else up really quickly?
Oh yeah, I should probably just check my work email real quick. As long as I got a little downtime.
I'll read the description one more time for you guys. Prepare the perfect heist in this simulated and fully destructible voxel world. Go ahead.
Tear down well.
No,
Got it. You got it. Tear down well is the correct answer.
Oh, whew, that was hard.
Dang it.
I would say for number... Oh, I just put 22 for Steve. I don't think that's correct. I'm trying to keep track over here.
Feel free to leave that there. That's no problem.
All right, number 7. Be on your buzzer for this one because I feel like you guys will probably get this one pretty quick because it has a pretty not so subtle hint in it. All right. This title is a stylish neo-noir action game featuring breakneck action and instant death combat. Defeat a menacing alien threat, green-orange.
Oh, okay. I don't know what the first game is. I'm guessing.
Oh,
Katana Zero. Oh, Seth.
Steve. Oh. Josh, who did you hear first?
I heard Seth first. It was very close.
Katana Zero Ranger.
You got it. I think you both got it at the same time.
For what
It just
it's worth,
clicked
that
into
was
place.
my guess.
I know for a fact I'm gonna blow someone's eardrums out with the amount of screaming that I've been doing. I need to calm down.
So far, Seth is in the lead with 8 points, and Steve has 5 points right now. So, heading on to prompt number 8 here. In this charming puzzle game with unique world-altering mechanics, you defy gravity using a paradox to solve puzzles. So it's 2 puzzle games. In this charming puzzle game with a unique world-altering mechanic,
Seth.
you defy gravity. Go ahead.
Carto Buttered Cat.
Got it.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
That's. I'm not gonna lie, I was never gonna get that one. My brain immediately went to Gravity Ghost, which is also a puzzle gravity manipulation game, and I'm like, gravity, enter the Gravity Ghost.
Yeah.
All right. The penultimate here, number 9. The prompt here is scour a bizarre dream space version of the 90s internet and do it all in 22 minutes before the sun explodes.
Steve. Hypnospace Outer Wilds.
You got it. That's correct.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
All right. So the last one here. Let's see. What's the point standing at? We got 10 and 2, 4, 6, 7. So you can either tie it. I'm going to do 3 points for this one, and I don't have any bonus ones. This is the last one. So you guys can either tie or Seth will win on this one. This one is a little challenging for me, I would say. So maybe you guys will get it right away. We'll see. A heartfelt game about life, love, and loss. In this soul-searching title where you shape the landscape, explore an ancient, mysterious world as you soar above the ruins and glide across sands to discover its secrets.
Wow.
I told you this was the hardest one. I was like,
All
I
right.
don't even know if I should do this one. But
What's Can you read it back again?
yes. A heartfelt game about life, love, and loss. In this soul-searching title where you shape the landscape, explore an ancient, mysterious world as you soar above ruins and glide across sands to discover its secrets.
Okay.
Oh boy, I don't. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that one. I don't.
Is it
Yep.
Steve? Is it just Old Man's Journey?
correct. It's Old Man's Journey.
Oh!
You got it for 3 points.
I was
And like the
thinking the
game
second
Journey.
one was Journey. That's very creative. I like that one a lot. That's good.
Yeah, that one is clever. So then, Josh, what's the tiebreaker? Did you account for this scenario?
I did not account for this. Let me think.
He's got to come up with one
you
on
put me
most.
on the spot now.
Most handsome Steve wins.
Damn, another Seth blowout. Damn it.
I will have to think of that. I'll have to think of something.
I think it's
didn't.
very fitting that we tied. Honestly, that's good. I like
Yeah. That feels good. I'll take the tie. Here's what you do, Josh. Come back next episode with one final question. Whoever
there you
takes
go.
that one gets to pick the episode.
Sounds good. And then you guys can think of the topic by then too. So you guys have
yeah.
a topic in mind, and at the top of next episode we'll do a tiebreaker on that. But I thought that was really fun. It actually was pretty successful, and you guys figured it out from my descriptions for it. So didn't really need much hints, which is really awesome.
A lot of credit to you finding creative mashups, because I, in almost all instances, only knew one of the games, and then I was like, my brain was like spinning the Rolodex trying to like slot another game in front of or behind it.
You know what we should do, Steve? Rather than Josh come up with one more, you and I should come up with one for Josh, and then Josh tries to guess, but then also rates how well we did.
Oh,
I think that's
Okay.
I think that's a fun way to do it. That way we can get
Let's do
on
that.
this action. Because I've been looking through these, like trying to find my own as we've been playing, and it is fun. So that would be fun.
all right, we'll do that instead. That's great, because then, Josh, you get the opportunity to play the game, and also it puts you on the spot having to choose which of your children you like best.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, which I know you guys love to do. So I'm all down for that. That sounds great. But yeah, I can't believe we tied. That's really fun. All right, awesome. So that's a combo quest. If you guys want us to do it again, I will try my best to do it. Probably wait till we bank some more games on the quest log, maybe. But it was honestly not a lot of work, but it was more just like trying to find fun combos like for the last few days here. And then I was like, oh, I have 5, maybe I can get 10, and I ended up getting 10. So awesome.
All good, I gotta say. Like, really no weak links in there, so thanks for doing it.
Yeah, that was great.
All right. So this episode's a second opinion episode. So what we do for second opinions, actually, let's throw it to Seth, because this is his creation, his baby, the second opinions. So what's it all about when we do one of these episodes?
I think the original impetus, the original idea for these second opinion episodes was that between the three of us, once one of us has played an indie game, it de-incentivizes the rest of us from ever playing it, even if we are very interested in it. So, of course, sometimes when someone plays something, it's like a 2-hour game. I think of Leap Year. When Steve brought Leap Year, I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. It's a couple bucks and 2 hours long. I'm going to play that game. And yeah, in those instances, we do play them. But all too often, we bring a game here and the other ones are just never going to. We're like, oh man, that sounds really good. And of course, we say like, oh, that's something that's going to go on my wish list. But it always is further down because it's never a game that we can bring to IndieQuest. So this allows us to not only play games that are already on the quest log that we've been looking forward to, but also have that friendly banter, or sometimes not so friendly banter between us. Like, to me, this is one of the best raw, quote unquote, podcasting episodes we do, because we just kind of let loose and talk to each other about games that we've all kind of played, or at least 2 of us have played, right? And we can have that talk, that chat back and forth, and it makes for a good conversation.
Yeah, these are the only episodes where I don't really bring almost any notes.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't feel a need to like fully break down the entirety of a game, because folks can go back and listen to the old episodes. They're still listenable, even if we have our thoughts on the older episodes. And instead, I can mostly just give my opinion on them.
Well, you know what? I'll volunteer and go first today. I'll jump on the top of the pile, and I'll go first today. So there's a game that it's a Steve pick. And it's one that Steve kind of jokes around that maybe the placement, if he would go back and visit it nowadays, he might not have put it where he put it before. Any guesses? It's an earlier episode. It's before episode 20.
Let's see. What's my biggest, like, in my mind? I feel like I say this about a lot of games, strangely enough, but I feel like I'm more likely to look back on a game and say, why was I overselling that?
We just mentioned Freedom Planet, although I think that is episode 20, so that probably isn't, or yeah, around there, right? I remember Steve saying that he doesn't know if Freedom Planet would be something he'd put on the main quest today, but he did back then. The other one I would guess is Disc Room, maybe?
That's it. I brought Disc Room today.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a game that's been kind of just on my backlog, and I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood for like a punishing, like dodge 'em up, I guess. I don't know how else to describe this game. Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen Disc Room, I'll describe it. You can go back and listen to episode 12, which we're going to sound like children if you go back, and we're going to sound completely different. I know from it. I just listened to a little bit. It was an interesting episode because I listened to a little bit of, the Disc Room part, and I was like, what else did we bring that episode? I brought Outer Wilds to the show. I remember reviewing it with you, but I actually brought it to the show, and we had like a spoiler chat after. That's what ended up happening for Outer Wilds on that episode. So I was like, it's a blast from the past. Here's some Outer Wilds talk. It was actually nice to kind of listen to that this many years later. So anyway, Disc Room is a game by Doswan and what's his name? Terry. Oh my gosh, I should have had that in front of me. But the guy who made Sludge Life, whatever his name is. But
Terry Velman.
Velman. There you go. I couldn't think of it. But yeah, those two teamed up to make a hand-drawn dodge 'em up. Like I said, there are multiple like little rooms, square rooms. There are saw blades. You're just supposed to dodge the saw blades as best you can. You have abilities that help you to dodge these things. You have a dash. You have a clone ability, which is pretty fun. You can spam the clone and kind of like have a bunch of you running around and just chaos and guts everywhere and try to last a little bit longer. You also have like a slow down mechanic and things like that. Each of the rooms has like a couple of challenges that you need to do to advance to the next room, and you're basically, the whole goal of the game is just to unlock every room and defeat all the challenges and try to beat your friend's score too if you have a leaderboard sitting there in front of you. I know Steve's played it, but Seth, have you played this game?
I have not, but this is a game that I know. I've looked at it so many times, and for some reason I still haven't wishlisted it. I need to. But I know I would enjoy this game based on games I've played in the past. I think that you guys compared like Gaballer to Disc Room back when I brought that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Steve, right? Because Steve had played Disc Room at that time. But yeah, I mean, I know I'd enjoy this game. I also kind of love the art style. It's simplistic, but especially like the cinematic cutscenes or whatever, where you can see your character. It gives, like, we talked about Hylix having Adult Swim energy, but that also has Adult Swim energy in like a different way to me.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. It's a cool little cartoon.
Yeah, it's like a comic strip panel, little cutscenes, and this game really makes me think of like Newgrounds. Like you're talk to your buddy at high school, or be like, did you play Disc Room on Newgrounds? You got to go and check it out. That's what it really feels like to me. So, but I know, Steve, you made the comment a few times, like, I don't know if I'd put that on the main quest. So where have you? How do you feel about this game like 5 years later?
It's one of those things where I wouldn't say I would drop it down because the game isn't good necessarily, but it's like however many, 4 5 years later at this point, it's got to be at least 4 years. I just don't really remember that much of it. Like, I remember the conceit, but I don't remember any of the specifics at all. So it's like it completely left my brain. And I think honestly, it's sitting like right between Shovel Knight and Outer Wilds on the quest log. I'm looking at it, I'm like, how did you get into this school? I don't know that you have the SAT scores necessary, but it's more of a me problem than a Disc Room problem. But what did you think? Would you have put it on the main quest?
That's a good question. So I was playing this game. I was having a good time with it. the thing I dislike, I will say a thing I do dislike about this game is the random elements of it. I know like a lot of people like that in a game like this, but I appreciate more like a geometry wars, like pacifism, like you know what each of the characters are going to do and you can memorize their patterns. I feel like in this game, like the Saw Blades do have their own attack skills, and like some of them will home at you, some of them will split off and form smaller ones, some of them will blossom out, a bunch of them, you know, there's a bunch of different mechanics that all the Saw Blades do, but all of those are set on random intervals and directions. So I feel like this game, especially towards the end, starts to feel a little more frustrating than you kind of want. At least for me, from my opinion, playing it, to where I'm like, I'm trying to get through this stage and I'm like, I know I can do this. Like, and then you'll be like 1 second from, you know, defeating a room, and then it'll just turn randomly and you're not expecting it and it'll kill you. And you're like, okay, I'll try it again. At least it is just push the button and start again on each stage. It's not a like loading screen or anything like that. It's just like any of these challenging games where the room is, you're just sitting in the room and you're just going to get through this challenge. But I feel like the random element did rub me the wrong way occasionally. But the game is definitely a lot of fun. And Seth, were you going to say something? It looked like you were leaning in to say something.
Yeah. I was going to say it's frustrating in a cheap way, like not designed that way, right? Like you think that
right.
The dev wouldn't have made it that way, but because it's random, it just seems like it doesn't belong. Like I can totally get with that. Like I hate when that happens, when it's like, okay, I know this is RNG, I know this is, or certain elements of this are, and you didn't intend for this to happen, but now I feel like it feels bad. It feels bad, man. Like that type of thing. So
yeah, and I would say like on the whole, like the whole game isn't like that. I would just say there's a few. So I don't know how many total rooms. I think there's maybe 30 or something. It's like a grid that you fill up, and like the challenges are pretty fun. Like survive 20 seconds. Okay, I survived 20 seconds. And then there's one that's just like feed ? 4 question marks. And you're like, okay, I just got the clone ability, so I probably have to clone myself 4 times to get eaten by the little monster. Okay, cool. I did that and I unlocked the next stage. It's a lot of little challenges like that. And it is pretty fun. I saw Mr. Mo's name on there, and Potomax's name was on there, and he was number one on every single one of my leaderboards because he's some kind of monster at video games. But in a good way. Complimentary. And I was like trying to beat their score, but a lot of times I'm like, nah, I don't think I got the stuff to beat that. Like it's like get 30 seconds to beat the stage, and Potomax is sitting up there with 1 minute and 42 seconds, and I'm like, that's not happening. I'm not going to be able to get that high, you know. So, but it's a little fun to kind of shoot for that too. So,
I think that would have helped my long-term opinions on the game, or it would have made it stick out a little bit more, because I actually do kind of have the bug where I like fighting against a couple buddies on a leaderboard. You know, when
Ball at Hell, Circle Hitter.
Ball at Hell, yeah.
When
that like took over, it's like, you know, it's fun to suddenly be in like a little fierce competition with your bros. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I when I played it, I think I played it on Switch, and like I didn't know anybody else that had played it on Switch. I don't even know if Nintendo has they probably wouldn't even let them do the leaderboard. They're like, that's too much technology for us. We don't have the servers for that. We're still on dial-up, so no leaderboards for you, buddy. Mm-hmm. You can check the leaderboard once a month on the app if you want to check the disc room leaderboards.
Yeah,
but I would have enjoyed that quite a bit, because the core conceit of the game, I mean, I obviously felt this way because I put it on the main quest at the time. I love a game that is just like simple and addictive. Like that, where like you understand the concept in one sentence. It's just dodge the saw blades, and maybe they add a little complexity, but like just fundamentally you're just doing that one thing, and it's just like you just have to nail it. It's yes or no, pass fail, just do it right or do it again. And that type of game design I get very addicted to.
Yeah. I do think it's pretty cool that they have like power-ups that you can unlock, but you even said this in the episode that you didn't really. I did the same thing. I didn't really use many of the power-ups. I usually just use the dash, which is the first ability that you have, and it's like the best ability in the game because you can abuse iframes, which, you know, in a game like this, you're gonna want to abuse those iframes. So it's nice, but it's fun to kind of mix it up and try out the other powers and just to see if you can do it. But I beat the game mostly using the dash, just to be honest. But any questions before I tell you guys where I would put it if I was going to put it on the quest log in 2025? Okay.
I look forward to Seth bringing the game at some point in the future on a future second opinion.
Third opinion.
Yeah.
Third opinion.
Yeah. I did think about doing that with the inscription. That was one I was like, should I do a third opinion? That would have been fun.
That would.
I considered it for Death's Door. I'll spoil right now that Death's Door is not my game.
Oh, sad.
But that's always there. So
yeah, it's true.
Anyway, this one would have been tough for me. I have my I think the game is great for what it is. Like, it has one really good idea and it nails it really well. And then, like I said, I did have kind of those periods where I was like, this is a little frustrating, like unneededly frustrating, but maybe that's part of the game design. They're like, yeah, we want these to kind of kick your teeth in a little bit. And then, ironically, if you beat the game, it unlocks a hard mode. And I'm like, this game's already hard. What are you talking about? But anyway, but it does have accessibility options. I was looking at them and then I was like, nope. Because if I turn those on, I won't be on the leaderboard, and nope, I can't do it. I want to be on that leaderboard. But anyway, all that to say, I would probably put it on a side quest. Nowadays, it would be really close. Maybe if I slept on it for a week or two, I might put it on a main quest. It's just right there, teetering between the two. So, great game though. I highly recommend it if it sounds interesting. Dig it up. I got it for $3, I think. So. Yeah, it's super cheap and really fun, and 4 hours tops. I kind of I'll just be honest, I was kind of sleepy a couple nights, so you could probably get it done in a couple hours if you're locked in and focusing on the game. Really fun.
Fun fact: it was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 6th game I ever brought to the main quest, so I was still finding my place. All right, I was still feeling out what the main quest meant to me, which at some point I learned. It is my greatest rival, and I will avoid it at all costs.
Side quest Steve strikes again.
Yep.
Honestly, I do not envy you guys in the first 20-ish episodes because you really had to carve out that path for yourself. You didn't really know. You can't say that Outer Wilds is the only thing you can measure everything to. Because that's just not fair. There'd be a lot of side quest games, right? For if that's if that's your favorite game or one of your favorite games of all time. So makes sense. I think you guys did a good job to pave the way, and now I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with my gut putting it where I need to put it. So appreciate you too. But with all that, I will also bring a game today to the second opinion.
Oh,
and the reason I want to go next is because I think mine is also a controversial pick. Based on discussions that we've had recently, maybe not too terribly recently, but over the past few years, this game comes up pretty often.
I think I know what it is.
I think I know what it is too.
All right, yeah, go ahead, guys. Whoever wants to go.
Steve, what do you think it is?
I would guess it's Crumble.
Yeah, that's my guess too.
It is Crumble.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
Are you though?
You're gonna hate on it. You're gonna hate on it,
buddy. I want you to get comfortable in that chair.
All right. So, if anyone wasn't around way back in episode 18, our good pal Josh brought a little game called Crumble to IndieQuest. It came out in 2020. By Brute Force. It is only on PC as far as I'm aware, although I didn't do a lot of research. I'm pretty sure it's only on PC. Mm-hmm. And it is a 3D precision platformer. Kind of loves speed, but not all the time, and that's something we'll get into. And there's also what I call a tongue mechanic, but it is a swinging mechanic, right? It's like a grapple. So that is this game in a nutshell, and like I said, Josh reviewed it in full, or I would say in full, but it's funny, going back to the early episodes, that's part of the reason why when you guys and I were talking before this, going back to the 20s, right, and before the teens and the single digis, you guys just really reviewed games quickly back then and then got to different segments, and the show was kind of morphed into more of a not long form review. We're not each talking about our games for an hour, but it's more fleshed out. Like we talk about it a lot more. So I think that you talked about Crumble in this episode maybe sub 10 minutes, right? Where we very rarely go under 10 minutes these days. So still, I think you still hit all the high points on Crumble back then because Crumble is Crumble. Like there's not a lot to say about Crumble outside of what you said. So I'll just really brief rundown outside of the genre soup that I gave it, right? You're this little blue blob. You almost look like a slime monster from Dragon Quest, except you're completely spherical. So you roll everywhere you want to go. You can also jump and you kind of bounce up and down like a ball. My touch point for this, and it's kind of funny because it's not going to make sense to anybody who hasn't played it, but we had Mook on for an episode when he brought Hotline Miami. And during that episode, I brought a game called Tensei, which is just also a ball that rolls and bounces. And it feels so similar to the little dude in Crumble. So that's my touch point for that. But on top of all of those things, you also can, for whatever reason, stick your tongue out really far and hold on to things like stalactites or stalagmites, whatever's hangs from the ceiling. I can't remember. Or whatever's hanging off the ceiling, or just the ceiling itself, depending on what level you're in. And you can stick to it with your tongue and swing like Spider-Man. I think in the description it even says swing like Spider-Man. So there's kind of like this balance between platforming and, like I said, there's speed sections where you can just press forward on the D-pad and it's almost like an auto runner in a way where you're just kind of very gradually pushing that stick left or right depending on the obstacles that are in your way. But you can slow it down, but I think those sections are very much built for the speedrunner mentality and feels a little bit like Sonic Adventure or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you said as much in that episode too, Josh, about that Sonic Adventure reference. But that's kind of it, right? I do mention and have mentioned that it is a precision platformer, so it's sort of that Meat Boy vibe in a 3D platformer, which maybe is part of the reason that I am not entirely enthralled with certain things in this game, and we'll of course get to that here shortly. Before I do that, on Second Opinions, what I always do, rather than do the presentation music hash out that we usually do on these episodes, I just say, here's some things I like, and here's some things I like less or don't like, right? So, things I really like about Crumble, and what I think this game does extremely well, visuals. It is a very, very good looking game. Like no one can come here and that has played Crumble and say, yeah, that game is ugly. It isn't. It's very bright, shiny. It's got like the Sega Blue Sky thing going on. Like it's very kind of like cell shaded-y a little bit. Very good looking game. So no drawbacks there. Also, the screen is completely free of clutter. There's no like collectible icon or health meter. It's just you and what's going on around you. And that's great. I love that about it. Character design is also great. I love the little slime guy. Some of the skins that you can find are really cool. I played as a human head for most of the game until I got to a point where I couldn't like see myself very well in one of the levels. Then I switched back to just regular slime guy. And then I really, really love, and this is kind of funny coming from me because I'm not a huge Sonic fan. It also makes me think maybe I need to go back now that I'm older and play Sonic more again. But I love the speed sections. Like the raw speed sections in this game are fun. Like they are a very good time. You're flying, you're pushing that stick forward. It feels good. Every time you jump, you could feel the weight, right? Because you're already moving at a very high rate of speed. So every jump means a lot, right? And you kind of have to really be careful about where you're landing. And that's mostly it for the things that I really like. Before I move on, I want to give you guys both a chance to talk. Josh, and I know, Steve, you have also played it. So this is another reason why I wanted to bring this game, is because it's fun to have a three-way conversation. Josh, do you remember bringing Crumble to IndieQuest? And
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was listening, but I was kind of trying to find our good buddy Wouter or Weedo's comment here.
Oh, okay.
Why Crumble? Why is this on the list? Game barely functions. Do you think you're leaning that far into it here?
Not that far, but I will get into that a little bit in my next section.
Okay.
I do want to mention, Josh. I know that you obviously we don't know what games we're bringing of each other's, and that's part of the surprise factor of this episode and what makes it a lot of fun, right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember anything about what you said about Crumble back then?
I know I was like excited to play video games. Like, so I think the reason I was I was excited for video games in general. It's such a blanket statement. I know.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's the Josh thesis statement if I've ever heard it.
That was God. That needs to be clipped. That is so good.
Yeah, that's such a Josh statement. Yeah, for sure. But I think I'm pretty sure this is like the first episode, like one of the first episodes I recorded, like being like in my new life in Washington State. I think that really affected my opinion on a lot of things. So everything was like a little bit nicer and more bright and cheery because my life had changed a little bit. But I remember really enjoying that game. But I can remember also like I don't know what I said, but I definitely do remember some of the friction that it had too. So and I was like so excited about the game. I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy Steve a copy. Like I literally bought him one on the show. Yep. I remember that. But besides that, it's a little hazy to be honest. But this one's always one I joke around about because I've gotten a couple comments. I'll say not a lot, just occasional comments like that's Josh's main quest, maybe fumble, So right. We'll see what everyone says. But
Crumble, fumble,
Crumble, fumble.
Had to say. Steve, any comments?
Yeah, well, one, I'll say it is on Switch, apparently, which surprises me.
Okay.
I guess if it was going to be on any platform, it would be on Switch, but there is a Switch version. You can go play Crumble. I usually when we're talking about a game, I pull up the Steam page and I'll look at the screenshots and the trailers to just kind of put myself back in the headspace. And I'm watching that for Crumble right now. And, like, my gut reaction is, like, I don't know why everyone, including me, was kind of hard on this game. This game looks fun as hell. But then I remember after Josh bought it for me, I played it some morning, like, before work or something like that. And I remember immediately kind of being like, when it works, but it doesn't always work. And that's where I ran into some snakes. Like I think the ideal version of Crumble that like fully executes its vision, very strong case you can make it a main quest. Like,
agreed.
I just think that like some technical performance, but more like level design type issues at times, like is where the sticking point was for me.
Yeah, like the later stages when it goes from like maybe if this game was half length before it gets to the darker stages where you're like it's a little bit more complicated to like platform and you're kind of struggling around. I remember there's a couple areas where it's like, yeah, this is kind of maybe not designed the best. So is that one of your main complaints here?
Yeah, one of them.
No.
Man.
You mentioned the dark stage, and in the very late levels there's like lava and stuff, so it's pretty dark but also kind of bright. There is one specific stage, I think in World 4, where it is storming. I don't know if you guys remember this one, but it's like there's like a thunderstorm going on, and for whatever reason the dev decided that they wanted it when it wasn't storming, when you couldn't see like lightning strike. It was nearly pitch black, and I was playing that stage this morning in like a regularly lit room, and I'm like, I cannot see what's going on. I have no idea where I am. I had to change my character's color to like see kind of where I was in relation to everything else, and then also I'm playing Crumble, where you have to be quite precise to like actually land on stuff and get stuff with your tongue when you reach out. So speaking of that, one of my biggest attractions of Crumble is the grappling mechanic. I feel like it is inconsistent at best. Like There were specific times where this game clearly wants you to be a very specific distance from the things that you're going to grapple onto, right? So I shoot my tongue out and it's so long and I can reach it. You want it to be pretty long so that you can actually have a decent amount of swing and get speed and get to that next platform. So you want to make sure you're pretty far away. You don't want to get too close or else your tongue is frustratingly short, and there's really no way that I saw that you can like just extend down from there and start swinging. So I would have to be like, okay, this is, and after a while you figure out what the sweet spot is, but you don't always get it because it's a precision platformer. So I would fall to my death more times than I would love to count. And I'm fully aware that I could be being a little baby about this game. And anyone out there, please comment in if you've played Crumble. And maybe I'm truly just bad at it, but I feel like from World 1 till I finish the game, World 6 or whatever you want to call it, it's like a long level at the end. I feel like I only got good enough to like get through it. I was never very good at this game. It never made me feel like a gamer. Like I struggled, and I like difficult games, but there were just certain sections, to Steve's point about like the level design. There's a level where you have to like scale up. Like you go through the level normally and you're going on platforms and it's all good. And the game loves to switch back and forth between like platforming and speed and verticality platforming and horizontal platforming. There's a section at the end or at the end of this one specific level where you're like scaling up these like horizontal windmills. They're spinning around. And oh my God, it was like, I am telling you, it took me, I was gripping my controller. And I know that's part of the point, but I'm just like, I am about to spike this thing into the floor. Like, I am so beyond frustrated. And it was almost like I was just fighting my own ability to do this, but also I felt like the game did not give me the tools to get there right. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it was fighting against me just based on the mechanics that were born in this game that were developed into it. And I know that's part of the problem. It's almost, it plays a little bit like it wants to be too many things. It's almost like a meme game at times, like the human head thing, like it's trying to joke around. So in that way, I can understand some of the very frustrating platforming that it makes you do, and specifically the grappling. But at the same time, it also makes itself out to be a very good, difficult platformer, and that's fine. Like, I'm all for that, but I felt like there were certainly times when the platforming was not very fair. And I couldn't, speaking of that, another point I have is like depth perception. I couldn't ever really, I feel like I never got to the point where I could truly understand where I was going to land. I would have to almost float for a little bit and like flip the camera down and look and try to find my shadow. And because of the variance and speed of this game, like it does speed well, but you'll be absolutely flying and you're like, oh yeah, this is what Crumble wants me to do. And then all of a sudden, boop, wall, platform now. And it's like, okay, I guess we go back to this. I know that's like a common complaint of Sonic games too, right? A lot of Sonic games do that. But it's like it had an identity crisis. It didn't know what it wanted to be, and it brought like a bunch of different unique ideas and never fully fleshed out any of them other than, in my opinion, the speed part, but it didn't let you do it enough. And those are my biggest, I suppose, detractions from Crumble. Other than that, and the reason everyone out there can probably tell I wouldn't put it on the main quest, right? There's also some bad jank. Like I love jank as much as the next Steve pervert out there, but this game, there's a specific section where you're like flying on this like rock dragon. I don't know if you guys remember that stage, but
No.
I do.
You have to like roll through and like try to get to the rocket. The whole point is like get to the rocket and leave the level at the end. So you're like flying on this rock dragon and there's checkpointing. And as I'm going through, like it's frustrating, but I'm getting through it. You know, I'm having fun. Like it is at its heart, it is a good game. I just think it could have done things differently. But on this dragon section specifically, I'm telling you a dozen times, I would jump onto where it clearly it shows a section that I can jump onto, this rock, and I just kept right through it and dying. Right,
Damn.
it was just like
Yeah,
it was there graphically, but the hitbox was not properly programmed in that position or something, or because the dragon moves. Maybe like the section, but it didn't show me that it wasn't there to jump through or whatever. So, yeah, all that is to say, I had a sometimes very fun time with Crumble and sometimes a quite frustrating time with Crumble. But I also am I understand that I am maybe not the target audience of Crumble. But then I go back to what is a main quest, right? A main quest is something we think we can recommend to most people, and I'm trying to think of who I would recommend Crumble to. And there's a specific audience that I know would love this game. Yeah, Josh, or like people who really really enjoy that tough platformer. But I think Steve said this too. Like if they would have fleshed out a lot of what they had going on in this game more, it would have been a much better game. But it almost felt like they ran out of time or something, and they're like, all right, let's just push it out. So
right,
still a fun time. I guess thoughts before I would mention where I guess I would put it on the quest log.
Well, my thought is this is my last episode. I'll see you guys later. No, just kidding. No, I completely understand. For me, I had some of that frustration, but I honestly flew through this game. So maybe I just got a feel for it, or something about the controls clicked with me specifically, because I didn't have that much issues compared to like I've heard that same exact thing from, like I said, Guido and a few other people like have literally told me that exact thing. It's like, why is this on the main quest? Because it's hard and it kind of kicks your teeth in. And I'm like, yeah, I know it was a little hard, I guess. So maybe at that time I was just like, it didn't really bother me. I don't really remember, just to be honest. But
you could have had more patience for it at that time. So I needed to check. Like I needed to check to like make sure that I'm not just terrible at video games. So I left this idle here and there, but I completed this game in around 3.5 hours. I think my Steam time was like 3.8 hours. So I wanted to go check. I'm like, all right, Josh played Crumble. I can go look at Josh's play time for Crumble and figure out, did Josh beat it in 2.5 hours and I'm just bad? You had it at 3.7. So
about the same.
Pretty
so I must
close.
have the problems, yeah.
I imagine. I don't know.
I mean, we all make mistakes.
I'm not saying it's a mistake. It's something that you have said several times. I don't know if I would have put Crumble there. So I felt like Steve already played it. He's never going to bring it to a second opinion. It's up to me now, right, to play this game and figure it out, right? So, Steve, you have anything else to say?
No, I mean, it's weird that Crumble joins the rare subset of Questlog games that all three of us have played. Like, there's got to be less than maybe 10%. 40 of those total across both.
Yeah.
So, Crumble's in exclusive company.
It is. So, my verdict, I suppose, of where I would have put it on the Questlog. And we all know Google Sheets can't be changed. So, it will be a main quest.
Can't be changed. Yep.
But I just personally, this is not. Once I had played to the end of the game, maybe my feelings were different because I felt like World 5 and 6 were had gotten better, or I'd gotten better at the game, and so I enjoyed it more. I would have not brought this game to the quest log only because I think my initial experience through like halfway through World 2, I would have just dropped it personally. I would have been like, it's not my game, not my kind of game, and that's okay, and then I would have. Yeah. But, of course, for second opinion, I continue to play it. And sometimes when you're not feeling a game, it's best to stop playing it and move on, go play something else. And I considered doing that, but my goal of this was to play Crumble, so I'm like, I'm playing Crumble. Like, I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to beat it, and I'm going to bring it to the second opinion episode. So that's partially on me. Not to say it's a bad game. I really don't think it is a bad game. I just think certain pieces of this game could have used more time in the oven, right? But
that's fair.
Crumble.
This shows the range of our show. All right, this is the diversity of opinions that we're bringing. Josh would have main quested it. I would have side quested it, and you wouldn't have brought it. So we're hitting all three with the same game.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest with this one, I probably brought it today, it would be a side quest for sure. But at the time, I was like super excited about it. I must have had just played it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a completely different person than I was when I brought it, so that's okay. So I'll go back and give old Josh a hug.
Would you even know him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what makes these episodes interesting too, is like when the listener listens to us put something somewhere on the quest log, we always say like, oh, for you it might be a main quest, for me it's a side quest today or whatever. And this really exemplifies that thought, right? Is that everyone has different opinions on these things, and that's why we have second ones. It makes sense to go back and talk about these things. So, but that's Crumble.
True.
I'm glad you did that. I know you said you might do it at some point.
Yeah.
A few months ago, you're like, hey, maybe I'll go back and play Crumble. I'm really glad you did, because I wanted to hear what you had to say about it. And, realistically, like it's just a game, and we're just throwing it on a list here. That's right. If the game does sound interesting to you guys and you get it on sale, you probably could find this game for like $1 somewhere on some Fanatical sale or some like Humble Bundle or something. Yeah. And it sounds mildly interesting. I still think it's worth trying if that's your bag. At least to play those first 3 stages that are like Sonic style, the super fast ones. I think you get something out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for nothing else, I do feel like once I played it all the way through, I do feel like for me, it would be like a lower side quest, purely because it is such a good looking game. Like people should experience it just because of how it looks. And when things are like crumbling, like that's the point of the game, right? Things are crumbling apart around you, and especially when you're flying and stuff's just falling, like it is very cool. It is very cool to look.
Yeah, it's cool. I honestly feel like the developers making like a paper airplane game. I wish they would have just like made another one of these. Like take the idea and focus in, and really just get like, I don't know, just refine it into something. I feel like there's something here. If he just took a little time, I just feel like a sequel would be awesome. But I know we'll never get one probably. But just the basic idea of like the super fast levels, do like 30 of those, you know what I mean, and put a leaderboard on them, make them short, and just here you go, have fun, try to beat each other's times. I think this game would be like an awesome one of those.
I will say they didn't do me too dirty, because in Crumble itself, there's like at the main menu, there's like a little GIF playing in the top right corner of that paper airplane game. And I'm like, I go to the wish list, or I go to Steam and I wish listed it instantly because I think it looks really cool.
It does look cool. I do want to play that. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The developer needs to update their Steam page, because I went and looked at their Steam page and it doesn't list that paper airplane game there.
What's the name of it?
I was gonna go look for it as well, and I can let you know, Steve. But I think you brought a game today, Steve. That's
believe it or not, I did. I thought I went pretty far back in the episodes here, but I'm bringing the most modern game of the 3 of us. You were all like teens and 20s out here, and I'm here in the 40s.
Wow,
which is it's just another advantage of the second opinion. We have a different listenership than we did back at that time period, so there's probably a lot of folks listening to the show here now that never heard us talk about these games before. And maybe you want to be brave and venture into the back catalog, but if not, you can just hear some quick thoughts. But
that game is called Paper Sky.
Paper Sky. After all that Crumble enthusiasm, you're going to want a wish list. Paper Sky.
For sure.
I actually do want to wish list it. I'll check it out. So, Josh brought one of my games.
No. Oh, no.
Double scathing takedown.
Seth brought one of Josh's games. So if I am to complete the trifecta, I am obligated to bring one of Seth's games.
Oh, boy.
So I went back and I played a game that Seth enjoyed on episode 46. I played OneShot.
Oh, OneShot.
Oh, nice. I thought about playing this one. That's interesting. Cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great minds, man.
I will say before you get into it, Steve, I am happy you played One Shot for two reasons. If I remember correctly, you got a physical for PlayStation, right?
I did, yes.
And I don't know how much you're going to want to get into this, but that is interesting for this game.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And number two, I believe I main quested One Shot, right?
You did?
Yes.
Yep.
It is a very good game, but also a very interesting, unique experience compared to a lot of video games, right? It's much more in the vein of To the Moon than it is Crumble, right? So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it, because if I went back again, I'm not sure. Like, it's certainly one of those games where I'm more on the fence now than I was back then, but also I think personally I leaned that direction because it is so lauded. Like, there's like 50,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So, when I'm on the fence about something, I'm going to lean towards the public for sure. Right. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Interesting. All right. So yeah, this, like I mentioned, came on episode 46. Just so you know, to place you in your life at that moment, you were getting your roof repaired, and the repair guy had a flat tire and left his truck in your driveway.
I remember that.
Nice.
So now you know the exact time in your life when this happened.
Heck yeah.
Little yoink back.
I needed some One Shot.
And yes, as Seth mentioned, I played what is referred to as the World Machine Edition. So I played One Shot World Machine Edition, which is really just a fancy name for console version. I think that there might be some other minor tweaks, but fundamentally I think when they subtitle World Machine Edition, they're really just saying this is our port that makes it playable on consoles, because as we'll get into, it's sort of by design not that, so it's kind of impressive that it did ever come to consoles. It was fun to go back and listen to this episode, because as you were talking about it, I was just salivating. I was like, oh yeah, this is Steve Catnip. This is all the stuff I love, I want more of this. Give me some of this. And also, I will say, maybe inverse to Crumble, not to give away too much of what I'm going to say, as you were describing the game, I was mostly just nodding along in agreement with you. There was even a couple of things where I was like, well, he's talking about this stuff. I'm going to mention this on the show, which he never brought up. And then towards the end, you bring up the thing I was going to bring up. And I was like, oh, he and I were really on the same wavelength here, but all the same. So yeah, for the folks, the quick synopsis, if you haven't played One Shot or aren't aware of it, it's like a To the Moon. It's like a narrative adventure game. It's a little more adventure-y than something like To the Moon. The puzzles are a little more involved, but this is in a 16-bit, I think on the episode back then, Seth referred to it as sort of Game Boy Advance-ish, which isn't wrong. If you think of Undertale energy in a lot of ways, you'll be familiar with One Shot.
I think if I remember correctly, and I already mentioned this with the overwhelmingly positive thing, I remember reading or hearing, maybe even more recently, that it is, if not the most successful, certainly way up there as one of the most successful RPG Maker games of all time. So
that would make sense to me, because I don't know how much it sold or how much it made, but again, like you said, on Steam alone it has almost 50,000 reviews, which is that's crazy. That's a ridiculous number for a short narrative project like this. So it's kind of like top-down 2D Super Nintendo energy, where you're going to be walking around talking to people and picking up items and either using or combining those items to solve various puzzles, which will let you progress further into the story, further into the narrative. Kind of I would say that's sort of the narrative setup for One Shot is one big piece of the puzzle that makes this so exciting for people, and I think especially made this game exciting for people in 2016, actually 2014, depending on when you played it, because the game originally came out, I think 2014 is a Flash version, and then it got a Steam port in 2016. And folks remember, I think Undertale came out in 2015, so the first version of One Shot came out pre-Undertale and has very Undertale energy. people will be obsessed about OneShot for a lot of the same reasons they will be obsessed with Undertale. I'd find it very hard to find someone that likes one and not the other.
It does make me wonder if people have played both, like which they pick, because I love both as well, but I think based on my nostalgia, I am personally probably Team OneShot. Very close, but probably would be Team OneShot personally. Interesting.
I think I'd be Team Undertale, but I mean that 13-year-old kid inside me, he just loves that Undertale, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like the main narrative conceit is that a character named Nico wakes up, and pretty much immediately they pick up this light bulb that is the sun in this world, and they're given a goal. Oh, you need to return this to the tower in the center of the world to basically restore sunlight and like stop this world from dying, essentially. But Nico turns and talks to you, the player. Like immediately this game breaks the fourth wall. And they do it in like a fun way where they pull, I'm assuming off of, if you played it on PC, they pulled either like your Steam username or maybe like even your Windows username, because on console they pull your like gamer tag ID.
Yep.
And
nice.
Like Nico turns and talks to you, and you'll answer questions, and Nico will ask you questions like, oh, in my world we make pancakes and I love pancakes, and Nico will be like, do you have pancakes? And you get 2 prompts, and I can be like, yeah, no, and then he'll be like, oh, I mean pancakes are good, they're not my favorite.
Yeah,
like they're getting to know you. Like Nico's getting to know Steve the guy, the human man, you know. Try not to fall in love, Nico. And
it's hard,
and it makes
really hard.
It makes for like interesting back and forth, an interesting story, because Nico is also a character out of their own world. Like they woke up in a place that they don't recognize, and they're trying to like get their bearing, and they're asking you questions because you're basically treated as a god in this world, but you're a god who also acknowledges, I don't know this place either. Like I know a lot more than you, but I don't know this world.
It's almost like the what do you call it when you have 2 players playing a game, like asymmetric or whatever, right? When you're playing the game, like when you and I played that Rusty Lake game, Steve, right? Where one of us can see the thing and we're trying to tell that's almost like Nico and you, right? That's kind of how the relationship you have, where one of you has information, you can see things that Nico can't see, and then Nico knows stuff that you don't know, and that's kind of the way you go through this game.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's serious when it needs to be, but I would say that a lot of the times it's pretty lighthearted. There's some serious moments, but a lot of times I guess it kind of strikes that Undertale balance too, where like they're joking around until they're not kind of energy.
Yep.
But the big hook of OneShot, and what probably made it so appealing to people, and this is maybe a spoiler, but like this game is a decade old and it's like impossible to talk about it, and this is the second time we're talking about it, so I'm going to be a tiny bit more liberal with the spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But the big hook of OneShot is that this is the type of game that messes with you. If you're playing on a computer, it messes with your PC. Like it pops up Windows error messages, it changes your desktop background, like it does things to mess with you, and be kind of like playful or aggressive depending on what the situation calls for.
Right. I played Kinito Pet I think October last year and brought it here, right? And that does it in a very similar way, where it's like, oh, you have a virus now or whatever, or I'm taking over your PC. OneShot does the same thing, but to my knowledge, and it might not be the first, but it is certainly the first that was this popular to do that, to break those walls and mess with things. So back when it came out, I'm sure it was extremely novel. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we have Doki Doki Literature Club, which maybe is spoiling that, but these things have happened since then, right? So
we have probably 5 of these games on the quest log, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it came out around the same time as Pony Island, because you guys are talking about this. It sounds similar to that. Pony Island has some of that energy too, so it's kind of like, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, very, very similar. And so that's why at the time when he brought it, Seth was like, I don't know how this game could ever come to consoles. And so that's where the World Machine Edition comes in. The World Machine is when you start up the game on consoles. So I played it on PS4. It boots up into a fake, like, virtual machine desktop designed for the game.
Okay.
So in game, you're controlling a mouse cursor, and it has like a bunch of different icons for wallpapers, themes, and there's even folders for like my games and stuff like that, where you can like navigate. They basically took all the parts of your physical PC that you would need to have to get messed with, and they created a fake in-world virtual PC, including the ability to, importantly, minimize the game window in front of that virtual PC and play it in a small windowed mode, which is like a very relevant thing you need to do in this game as it relates to the other stuff the game is going to do.
Agreed. I'm just gonna say it right now. That is less fun.
It is less fun. I think if this was my first time going into it and I hadn't played more of these games and like I didn't already know, I would have been more disappointed. I sort of like expected,
what could it do?
A weakened version of that, and it's like I am sympathetic to the idea of I guarantee these console manufacturers, Nintendo, PlayStation, are not giving you any ability to scrape or mess with any information in their OS.
Yes.
Or like bury files in their file structure or anything like that. Like there's no chance that they would allow that. If there is even the technology to do that in the same way there is on Windows and on PC. So I think that this is a perfectly fine compromise, but were I to recommend OneShot to people, I would 100% say play it on PC. You'll get the same effect on console well enough, but the whole time you're aware, like you see them trying to recreate the PC experience on console.
Yeah, it is so much fun to not know what's going. I mean, if you're here, hopefully you've played OneShot already, because this is spoilery, but it is quite the experience on your PC to go digging through your files for these things, because that's stuff you interact with all the time. Whereas what Steve's saying on your PlayStation, that's like a made up desktop. Like that doesn't, so it's just not the same as really doing it on PC, right? It's never going to feel the same to play it on console, which is understandable, but also a little sad. Like I wish they could have done something.
Yeah, you can like really see the seams that way, right? It doesn't feel like, oh, what are they doing? And the mystery is kind of lost a little bit. But it's still cool that they made it work. I think that's commendable in its own right? Like they actually made it work on a console.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't want to like oversell it as too disappointing, but it does lower the effect when, and again, we're kind of in spoiler talk, but like if you're still here and you don't want anything more specific spoiled, you should just get out of here, because I'm going to list something specific about the game. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks for listening to this episode. Like the reason the game is called OneShot is you're supposed to, you have one shot at it. You play through the game, your decisions are your decisions, boom, that's what you did. And the game even like doesn't want you to mess with your save data. Like the game is committed to you having played this game in one shot and playing your one chance is your chance. But there is like ways to do some file manipulation stuff to get around that, to do some other silly things, and that has less of an effect when I only have like 2 folder structures on my desk. Like I don't need to like poke around in my PC and figure out where this is. It's like it's probably under my games OneShot save data when there's not any other folders. Like so it's you still got some of the fun, some of the effect, but a little bit less. I do want to ask, I don't even know if this is an option. Maybe this is a World Machine Edition thing or not. Seth, when you played it, this is going to be a silly question given that what I just said. Did you play it the one time?
Yeah, once. Well, okay. I may have gone in. We're here, right? If you're still listening and all that, but I feel like I was like, what happened? And I feel like I went back in to try to figure out where I was and like backtrack or figure out what the heck to do now. It's fuzzy. It's been a while, of course, but I feel like I attempted to try to figure out how to do something else to get something else to happen. and then realized perhaps that I had to play through it again. So then I didn't. I can't remember exactly how that goes though.
Yeah, there is a way to play through it a second. It again, not really spoiling anything, but it's similar to other games like this. It has some Undertale energy in that there are some incentives to, if you can figure out how, to doing a second playthrough that will change things up relative to your first playthrough. So
I imagine
as
completely, not completely, but sort of off topic. I imagine you will. I imagine that stuff is tied to trophies.
I was going to ask about that. That was in the back of my head. It's like,
yeah,
you probably got the platinum right on this guy, I would assume.
I don't, because it requires that second playthrough. I will do it because it won't take very long.
Once you know what you're doing, you can skip through so much dialogue and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a couple hours maybe. Yeah. So I will knock it out and get that done because it's a game. I do like the game quite a bit, and I would want to have it on my profile.
Nice.
So. Yeah, that's OneShot. Again, very, very Steve kind of game. Do either of you have any questions either about this version or about OneShot in general before I tell you where I would have placed it?
I think that I've asked the majority of my questions up to this point. The only comment I'll make is I'm still sitting here thinking about it like it. Steve already mentioned it, and if you're still here, go play the PC version. The PC version is it just does things. I like this game enough that I would absolutely do a replay now that I don't remember as much, and I should just buy the PlayStation version and just witness the differences. I already know what's going to happen, so whatever, right? And then I can perhaps get the plat on it, like you are, Steve. But I would also love to play this game. I feel like it would be almost funny to play this game on a 65-inch screen. Like it's just, it's so, like I said, like Steve mentioned in that episode, I compared it to like GBA graphics. Like it just seems funny to me that you would play this on a massive screen. So it'd be fun to play it that way.
I played it on a 77-inch OLED. Just mega.
This is why I got this TV.
It's so true. Okay, so yeah, OneShot, very, very cool game. If I was the one who brought it to the show, I would have had a really hard time placing this because for a couple reasons. One is I would have known that I did play a slightly inferior version. I think I could have probably gotten over that and like understood the potential that the PC version would have had and maybe like rounded up in its favor in that regard. But I think that I would have been aware that was a little bit a minor detraction. And it's not so bad to the point where, like, if you're someone that doesn't have a PC, but you do have a PlayStation 4, or I think it's on Switch now too, and this game sounds interesting to you, it is still absolutely worth playing on those consoles. Like, it's not like it's a bad version, or it's certainly not a bad game. It's a pretty great game. So I would still recommend it to people, but it's like, if you're someone that has all the options, go PC. And then the other thing that I've kind of like been thinking about, struggling with a little bit, is the more games I play that do these types of things, everyone has diminishing returns from the last.
That's correct. I completely, and that's why I said that at the very top when I mentioned, back then it was a main quest, but still, maybe a lower end main quest for me. But now when I look back on it, what would I do now that I have the experience I do? Because we talk about having everything we bring here is all based on our experiences. I'm just going to do a quick touch point, and I've already mentioned it, but Doki Doki Literature Club does something also like OneShot, but in a horror way. Regardless, when I played Doki Doki Literature Club last year, I think when the Cartridge Club played it, go check out the Cartridge Club podcast. It same, Steve. Like, I was just like, okay, I've been here before. Like, this is OneShot did this for me, and now everything else beyond that isn't going to surprise me as much, because I think when I played OneShot, back when we started IndieQuest, I had not had my gaming laptop for a long time, so I was always a console kid growing up. Mm-hmm. So having this type of thing happen to me in game, what OneShot does to you when you're playing it on PC, was extremely unique, especially back in 2015. It's that or 2014, right? It's that situation where it's like, I know how it makes me feel now, and I know the experiences I've had that maybe make this pale in comparison to some other games. But God, how was it back in 2014? That was probably wild. Cuckoo bananas. You know what I mean? Like, that was probably crazy. So totally understand your sentiment.
Yeah, exactly. So where would I have put it? It would have come down to what I had for breakfast that day, man. It would have come down to what my blood sugar was at the time we recorded and how good of a mood I was in. Because I could have tipped that ball in either direction. I probably would have played it a little safe. I probably would have wanted to avoid like over penalizing it for me playing a version that I could have willingly chosen not to play. And I probably would have tipped it towards main quest. Yeah. But it's very possible that I would have side quested it too, kind of with that being the logic, you know. If this is your first one of these and you either weren't turned off by spoilers or only heard enough to be intrigued and somehow came back to the very tail end here, you'll have a great time and it'll probably be a main quest for you. But if you've played a lot of other games in this sort of weird subgenre or with this like set of mechanics that games have, you'll know what's up.
For sure.
Yeah, cool. It's definitely one where it's like, if I see it on the Steam sale, I'll probably snipe it and grab it, and then just one evening just pop it on and play it. Because I know the trick it does, but I still want to see that story because I know the story is very memorable in it for what it is, right?
Yeah, and Steve didn't go into like a lot of like the puzzles. And like those aren't spoiled. They are very cool. Like even in 2025. Yeah.
Nice.
I left off some of the most fun stuff, so I think you'll have a good time with it, Josh. Like,
cool.
I will say, you know, it's more than just pop-up messages that say like, "Grr, I see you." There's other stuff going on too. That's cool. There's cool stuff. So yeah, that's OneShot. Glad I finally got to play it. That one felt good to get off the bucket list.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I feel that was a great side quest. We got 3 interesting games. I brought almost forgot what I brought. Disc Room. I keep wanting to say like the Saw Blades game. What is that?
Slight Chance of Saw Blades. I get those two crisscrossed in my mind too.
Yeah, I could keep wanting to say that. So Disc Room, which I was like, yeah, good game. You know, could be main quest or side quest. Like Steve said, whatever my breakfast was. And then we got Crumble, which Seth probably wouldn't bring to the quest log, which was pretty interesting conversation, and I'm glad you at least gave it a shot. And then OneShot, which Steve would probably have put on a side quest, which is, I don't know, pretty cool. It's good to hear the different opinion a few years later. I love doing these episodes just for that reason.
I mean, you'll never know. Something that is very hard, and it's one of the reasons that like I don't think reviews can be very objective. I don't think reviews can be an objective measure of things. It's always so hard to divorce your enthusiasm right after you played a game, and it's always impossible to predict your feelings on a game 5 years out. You have no way of knowing, is this the type of game that I will completely forget about a la Disc Room, or is this the type of game that will like build over time and I'll be like, man, this is actually one of my favorite games the more I think about it. So these are, I'll say I appreciate these episodes even just to reflect back on the games that I brought that one of the two of you bring, because I can be like, how do I feel about that game these days? And yeah, if this is your first second opinion, it's not always just us picking 3 main quest games and saying we would have put them on the side quest. There's usually a little more give and take back and forth, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
For sure.
But we do have, before we sign off today, we have a campfire chat, which is our little community corner here. I feel I'll go ahead and read this one for us. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, games for us to play, anything you want to reach out to us about, we'll likely read it on the show. You can send us emails at indiequestpod@gmail.com. And that's where we received this. We just got this today, so just under the wire for the podcast, like 2 hours ago or something like that. So I'll go ahead and read it to you guys. Hi, WeeWeeWeb here. Hi, WeeWeeWeb. Try to say that 10 times fast. Anyway. I don't talk a lot in the Discord, but I still listen to every episode. Here's some second opinions as requested. 1,000 times resist. I live in Vancouver where this game was developed, so I first learned about it last summer at a conference. The director showed off their game and explained their writing process. My thought back then was, wow, another anime story to tell me that robots slash clones slash aliens are actually people too. How original. But when I first heard the glowing review from Josh and then followed up by many appearances in the Game of the Year list, I had to try it out. And then 1,000 Times Resist started pulling at my heartstrings, and it was only chapter 2, so I knew I had been the biggest fool. I fully agree and strongly recommend this game too. Awesome to hear that. And then he brought up Mini Shoot Adventures. I liked this game and completed it, but it left me a bit wanting. I was excited by the idea of exploring an open world full of abilities, but the progression ended up being pretty linear and gated, with even the map telling you where to go next. I also found that the lack of any penalty from dying removed tension from the combat. I really liked the boss fights in the post-game arenas where dying meant you had to restart the fight, forcing me to lock in. Overall, I'd say there's some great potential in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing a sequel that expands on it, or maybe other games that can get inspired by this. I want to leave by throwing a grenade into the room. I think Death's Door has been better combat than Tunic, but I like Tunic better. Bye.
I mean, that's pretty. I mean, I think that there's very few people, speaking on the last statement, I think there's very few people who have played both who would say anything different, at least to the first statement. The liking whichever one more is obviously subjective. But I mean, that's one of the things I'm most interested in listening to Steve talk about whenever he gets around Death's Door is how he feels about the combat. But I feel like, Steve, you've already said Tunic's combat is not one of its strong suits, so it's probably the opposite.
It gets its job done. There's no one out there that is like, the combat in Tunic's amazing, the rest of it's whatever. Like that's right. that human doesn't exist.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Wee Web says they're throwing a grenade in the room. Kind of feels more like they're throwing a bone to Seth, but
he said Tunic's better. So
yeah, that's why he's throwing you. But like, here, chew on this. You know, I'll satiate you, give you a little treat, throw you a little biscuit.
The comment I have not played 1,000 Times Resist, but I played Mini Shoot Adventures, and I think that I'm pretty much in line. Other than Mini Shoot, I love that it guides you a little bit in Mini Shoot Adventures. I love the accessibility options you have in Mini Shoot Adventures so that a wider range of people can play it. Like, I personally wholeheartedly agree. Unlike Crumble, I wholeheartedly agree with Josh on the main quest for Mini Shoot. It's a very good game. Is it the most difficult? I think for fans of shmups, they might go into Mini Shoot and be like, yeah, it's fine. It's kind of like a shmup that's also a Metroidvania. Like, that's cool. But like, super shmup fans are never going to find it as hard as their favorite shmups, so they might not like it as much. So I can understand people coming in, but for the average gamer, right? I think that a lot of people will get a lot out of it, but still appreciate the comments on it.
Yeah, I would say for me, for shmup games, I would be the average guy. Like, I've only played a handful of them. It's not my biggest genre. I didn't think that game was super hard, but it was just challenging enough to where I was like, okay, I died to this boss like a couple times, and now I finally got the patterns down. It wasn't like stomping me every 10 seconds, but I still had a good time with it. And I'm really glad that they played 1,000 Times Resist and agree with everybody else that says the game's fantastic and the story's worth experiencing. So, yeah, I still recommend playing that. I feel like that's going to be one I look back in 5 years, like Steve was saying, and like, yeah, that's one of my favorite games ever. Like, so far, like, the more I think about 1,000 Times Resist, the more I like it, the more I find that just grabs me and makes me think, from that story. So definitely a really cool game.
Yeah. All-timer for sure. So I agree with everything you said. It's worthy of the accolades, which is not always easy to say when a game gets so many accolades, but like, it earns it.
Yeah. Well, if you guys want to reach out to the show, have your comments read, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com, and that'll lead us into the plugs. You can also find us on Blue Sky at IndieQuestPod. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
I'm going to not make the same mistake. It's on Blue Sky and Twitch as Blinkoom. Blink OOM on either of those places. Come say hi. Seth, what about you?
You can find me at Captain Drachma on Blue Sky, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. And if you want to get into that Discord, head on over to Patreon and search up Polymedia, jump into whichever tier gets you in the Discord, and come and talk to us about whatever second opinion you have on the stuff we've brought here before. Josh, where can they find you?
You can find me on I almost said Twitter this time. Blue Sky, Josh Leslie, which is just my name, two first names. Lucky guy over here. You can also find other shows like this show on our polymedianetwork.com. I was losing the thread there, which has a bunch of awesome podcasts about nostalgia, video games, movies. You're going to probably have a good chuckle or two and hear a lot of Trav. So if you want to hear a lot of Trav, go to polymedianetwork.com. So, Seth,
True.
why don't you throw some parting words out there for the folks?
Well, you know what they say, guys. Opinions are like buttholes. We all got them, and they all stink. See you later.
And you got to check your friends every now and again.